You know, there's something I've been reflecting on lately, something that keeps coming back to me in prayer, and I believe it's meant to be shared with you today. It's about being seen. Not in the way the world sees us, with judgment or comparison, but truly seen, known, even in the movements we make when no one else is watching. I want to talk to you honestly, not with drama or alarm, but with the kind of truth that brings freedom. Because what I'm about to say might feel uncomfortable at first, but I promise you, there's peace waiting on the other side of it. Someone is tracking your movements. Now, before your mind races to fear or suspicion, before you start looking over your shoulder or scrolling through your phone with worry, let me ground you in something deeper. The truth is, yes, your steps are being watched, but not the way you might think, and not always by who you might assume. Let me start with the most important part, the foundation we build everything else on. God sees you, not in a distant, cold, surveillance kind of way, but with the attention of a father who counts every hair on your head, who knows the number of your days, who has called you by name. The psalmist said it beautifully when he wrote that God is familiar with all our ways, that before a word is on our tongue, he knows it completely. He sees you when you rise in the morning, weary and uncertain. He sees you when you make decisions no one else will ever know about. The small acts of kindness, the quiet sacrifices, the moments you choose integrity when no one is applauding. He tracks your movements not to control you, but because he is invested in your journey, because every step you take matters to him. And that kind of being seen, that kind of being known, is not something to fear, it's something to find rest in. But I also need to be real with you about the other side of this. Because while God watches over you with love, there are also people in your life, some close, some at a distance, who are paying attention to you in ways that are not always pure. Not everyone who watches you is cheering for you. Some people keep tabs on your progress because they're measuring themselves against you. Some observe your peace, and it bothers them because they haven't found their own. Some track your movements because they want to know when you're vulnerable, when you're weak, when they can step in with their opinions or their doubts disguised as concern. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about being wise. Jesus told his disciples to be as shrewd as serpents and as innocent as doves, and there's profound wisdom in that balance. You can be kind without being naive. You can be open without being unguarded. You can love people and still protect your peace. I've seen too many beautiful souls drain themselves trying to prove their worth to people who were never meant to understand their journey. I've watched people shift and perform and explain themselves to individuals who were only watching to critique, not to celebrate. And here's what I want you to understand today. You don't owe everyone access to your process. You don't have to announce every move you make. You don't have to justify your growth to people who weren't there during your struggle. There's a scripture that talks about not casting your pearls before swine, and while that might sound harsh, it's actually protective. It means your sacred things, your dreams, your healing, your breakthroughs, they're valuable. And not everyone has earned the right to witness them. Some seasons of your life are meant to be private. Some chapters are just between you and God. And the people who are tracking your movements with jealousy or judgment or hidden agendas, they don't get a front row seat to what God is doing in you. Now, I know some of you might be feeling that tension right now, that awareness of who might be watching, and maybe there's even a name or a face that came to mind. That's not coincidence, that's discernment, and instead of being afraid of it, I want you to see it as clarity. When you become aware of who's watching you with wrong intentions, you gain the power to stop performing for them. You stop living for their approval. You stop second-guessing yourself because you're worried about how they'll interpret it. You start moving with the confidence of someone who knows that the only eyes that truly matter are already on you with love. God is not keeping track of your movements to catch you in a mistake. He's not watching you so he can say, "I told you so," when you stumble. The prophet Jeremiah wrote that God's plans for you are good, plans to give you hope and a future, not to harm you. That means even when he sees you fall, he's already making a way for you to rise. Even when he sees you wander, he's preparing the path back home. He tracks your steps because he's directing them, even when it doesn't feel like it. Especially when it doesn't feel like it. There have been moments in my own life when I felt so lost, so unsure, like I was moving through fog with no sense of direction. And it would have been easy to believe I was alone in that no one saw, that no one cared. But looking back now, I can see God's hand in every single turn. The doors that closed that I thought were rejection, they were protection. The delays that frustrated me, they were alignments I couldn't see yet. The people who walked away, they made space for the ones who were supposed to stay. God was tracking my movements, even when I thought I was just wandering. And he's doing the same for you. But let's also talk about something practical, because faith is not just theory, it's how we live. If you're aware that someone in your life is watching you in an unhealthy way, maybe monitoring your social media, maybe asking too many questions, maybe showing up in spaces they shouldn't be, you have permission to create boundaries. Boundaries are not unloving. Boundaries are not unkind. Boundaries are actually one of the most spiritually mature things you can establish. They say, I honor what God is doing in me enough to protect it. They say, I will not shrink myself to make others comfortable. They say, I trust God to handle what I release, and I don't have to control how people perceive me. You can mute, you can unfollow, you can stop explaining, you can distance yourself, and still walk in love. Love does not mean unlimited access. Jesus himself withdrew from crowds, spent time alone, and didn't answer every question people asked him. He knew when to speak and when to be silent. He knew who to invest in and who to release. And you can follow that example without guilt. There's another layer to this I want to touch on, because I believe it's going to speak to someone very specifically. Maybe the person tracking your movements isn't someone with bad intentions. Maybe it's someone who genuinely cares, but their concern has turned into control. A parent who can't let go. A friend who wants to help, but ends up hovering. A partner who says they're protecting you, but really they're restricting you. And that's a hard situation to navigate, because you don't want to hurt them, but you also can't grow in a cage, even if it's built with love. If that's you, I want to speak gently but firmly. You are allowed to grow beyond what others are comfortable with. You are allowed to become the person God is calling you to be, even if it confuses the people who knew you before. God told Abraham to leave his country, his people, and his father's household to go to a land he would show him. That wasn't cruelty, that was calling. And sometimes God will ask you to step away from the familiar, from the voices that have always directed you, so you can hear his voice more clearly. That doesn't mean you stop loving those people. It means you start trusting God more than you fear their disappointment. Now let me bring this back to center, because I don't want this to become about other people. At the end of the day, the most important thing is not who's watching you, but who you're following. Are you moving according to God's leading, or are you constantly adjusting your path based on who's paying attention? Are you making decisions from a place of peace, or from a place of fear about how you'll be perceived? Because here's the freedom I want you to walk in. When you're rooted in God's love, when you're secure in his view of you, the opinions of others lose their power. You stop performing. You stop explaining. You stop living like you're on trial. You just move with grace, with confidence, with trust that the God who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. Philippians speaks about that, about God's faithfulness to finish what he started, and it's one of the most comforting promises we have. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You just have to keep showing up. Keep saying yes to God. Keep taking the next step even when you can't see the full staircase. And God, who sees every movement, Every choice, every moment of surrender, He's working it all together for your good. So what do you do with all of this? How do you actually live in light of being seen? First, you thank God for His watchful care. You stop seeing His awareness as pressure and start seeing it as protection. You pray with the confidence of someone who knows they're not hidden, not forgotten, not overlooked. Second, you practice discernment about who gets access to your life. You pay attention to how you feel around certain people. You notice who celebrates you and who subtly competes with you. You honor your peace enough to remove yourself from environments that drain you, even if it's uncomfortable. Third, you move with intention. If God is tracking your steps, then let them be steps worth taking. Let them be movements toward healing, toward growth, toward purpose. Stop wandering aimlessly trying to please everyone, and start walking deliberately in the direction of your calling. And finally, you rest. You rest in the truth that you are seen, you are known, and you are loved. Not because of what you do, but because of who you are, chosen, called, and covered. I want to pause here and just invite you to take a breath. If this message stirred something in you, if it brought clarity or comfort or even conviction, that's the Holy Spirit working. Don't rush past it. Sit with it. Let it settle into your spirit. And if you've been feeling watched, monitored, or misunderstood by the people around you, I want to pray something over you right now. That God would give you the courage to set boundaries where they're needed. That He would give you the wisdom to discern who belongs in your inner circle and who needs to remain at a distance. That He would remind you daily that His eyes are on you not in judgment, but in love. And that you would walk forward in freedom, no longer performing for an audience that was never meant to define you. If this is resonating with you, I'd love for you to take a moment and subscribe to the Angels Decode channel. Not because I need the numbers, but because I believe these messages are meant to find the people who need them, and maybe that's you. Maybe there's something coming in the next message that will be exactly what your spirit needs to hear. Leave a comment below. Something simple, maybe just the word seen if this spoke to you. Or share a verse that's been anchoring you lately. Let's build a community here that actually encourages one another, not with empty words, but with real faith. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, someone who's been feeling watched or pressured or misunderstood, share this with them. Not to be intrusive, but to be a friend who shows up with truth. I'm going to close with this. You are not walking this road alone. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. God sees every movement, every struggle, every victory, and He is not disappointed in you. He's proud of you. He's working in you. He's making a way, even when it looks like there isn't one. So stop shrinking. Stop hiding. Stop living like you have something to prove. You are already seen, already known, already loved, and that, my friend, is more than enough. Move forward in that truth. Walk in that peace. And trust that the God who has been tracking your every step will continue to guide you, hold you, and lead you into everything He has prepared for you. Not because you earned it, but because He promised it. And God does not break His promises. Be blessed, be covered, and be free.